I'm Scott from South Florida Insider here at such a worthwhile event, touches a lot of veterans. Tell me about yourself and why we're here today.
Well, I think the reason everybody's here today is to support the veterans in our community. Unlike the demeanor of our nation back in the late 60s, not following their veterans or supporting them, we find now after post 9/11 that our country is supporting our veterans. And you'll find mostly veterans supporting the veterans. You'll find your Vietnam veterans probably involved at every single event that you're going to run into. And I was invited here by Mike vicariously through Howard Fabian, who's part of the association that's helping Mike with this here. So we attend almost every veterans event there is. This week alone I've been to 6. So it's been quite eventful, believe me.
And for those that don't really know, tell us about the Purple Heart. I mean, you're not a one-time recipient, but several times thereafter.
Well, the Purple Heart Medal was designed by President George Washington, as you well know. It was actually called the Medal of Merit, given to men that were wounded. And over the years, the transition has changed into, as we know today, the Purple Heart. It's a unique reward. I actually, for your edification, I actually wear my 6th Purple Heart around my neck. My men put it in gold for me. And I wear it around my neck as a symbol to remind me every day of the sacrifices that every American that's been wounded or been in combat has suffered. And I think it's an important part of our society that people recognize our wounded warriors, and not just from wounds from shell fragments or bullets, but the psychological wounds that kids come back with today. We're losing 22 veterans a day to suicide. And that's a figure that we can't keep having. It's got to cease. We've got to find ways to address it.
And through foundations such as this, the Wounded Warriors Project, what Mike's doing himself, all these different foundations, what do you see as kind of the resolution or anything, a work in progress that's going on to kind of prevent those?
Well, you know, a lot of people have negative views of the Veterans Administration. To be quite candid with you, I've been in the system. I worked for 35 years. I'm a retired police chief. And I did not realize I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So it had been masked all the years when I was in law enforcement. In 2005, when I had an Agent Orange-related disease and went to the hospital, they evaluated me for post-traumatic stress disorder. I was at that time 65% disabled. Within 5 months, I was 100% disabled post-traumatic stress. I never even knew it. And I was given a disability by the VA at that percentage. I think what the things that these organizations bring to light is knowledge. The way the military today addresses post-traumatic stress is dramatically different than what we had when we were in the military. No one knew about post-traumatic stress. No one wanted to admit post-traumatic stress. And I think there's some of the things that we're getting past the hurdles that we understand that we have to take that negative connotation. You notice I've never said post-traumatic stress disorder because I think it's a negative word that they use within that, that illness that's there. Post-traumatic stress is nothing more than a wound that someone suffered to their brain, and they're paying the price for it every single day. These organizations help get out there. I have a foundation, Faces of Heroes, Vietnam Warriors. We help all era veterans. The other day I was telling a young lady here that we had a gentleman that walked 23 miles at 2:30 in the morning to my house crying in need of help. We have to be there for these people regardless of what time it is and what it is. And it's imperative that the public understand post-traumatic stress does not mean that somebody is mentally impaired or incapacitated. People have the misunderstanding of it. A post-traumatic stress individual that suffers from it is less capable, probably less statistical data to show that he will harm anybody. He will usually take his own life.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously, you're not with the military anymore, but where are you? Because, I mean, I know you're a speaker, you're going all over the place, but I mean, like, once you enter, it's almost like it's there for life.
Well, as a United States Marine, it's always for life. Marines are Marines for life. You'll never hear a Marine say, I'm a former Marine, or I was a Marine. You're always a Marine. My men still call me Staff Sergeant, which sometimes, tickles me. They laugh at it, You have to understand, I was 20 years old, a Staff Sergeant with responsibility of 46 men in an infantry platoon. That's a lot to digest if you take into consideration what a 21-year-old does today, or where their mental status or where their state is now, and what the responsibilities they have are. I do have great amounts of affiliation with the Assistant Commandant Marine Corps, the Wounded Warriors of the Marine Corps at Quantico and also at Camp Pendleton. I do communicate with Marines every single day. I must talk 10, 12 Marines a day.
Wow. Well, and I mean, just kind of down the road, I mean, obviously you're going to be guest speaking other places, I guess around Florida. Are you going out of state? Is there more speaking engagements, stuff that we could learn? I mean, Veterans Day is right around the corner. What can we do as regular citizens to help alleviate some of the problems that are still going on with these veterans?
Well, with me, right now there's a production company in Hollywood that's doing a movie about my life in Vietnam. It's not so much about my life. It's the portions of my Vietnam service that will start the movie. It's about a Marine Staff Sergeant named Tomas Matteo, who comes back, finds out that he is suffering from post-traumatic stress, and then turns around and winds up in a dysfunctional marriage, loses his family. His son becomes estranged to him. Years later, his son goes into the Marine Corps, winds up getting wounded also, and comes back with that same impairment. After the interview, I'll be more than glad to give you the site and all that. You can go and look at the trailer that's being made. That's one way that we're trying to get to the public. I think American Sniper was an excellent movie to give people the insight of where somebody could be, but they didn't expound on it. They didn't go further. They left you there without trying to find a solution to the problem. And our movie is going to have the solutions. We're going to show what can be done to help these veterans, what needs to be done. And it's not money. You can't throw money at a human being's life. You may perceive something that I see at the same time, and it may impact you, or it may not impact me. So we have to be cognizant that these men suffered a tremendous trauma to themselves, and these women. And by doing what we do at Faces of Heroes, Vietnam Warriors, we get out there in the public. We join every single group that we can. We speak. We make people knowledgeable about post-traumatic stress and what we need to do. We help homeless veterans. I mean, how can we have a society that we send men to war and we can't house them and we can't help them? That's ridiculous. This is, 2015. We could put a man on the moon 40 years ago. We surely can help veterans have a roof over their head. And that's what we do.
And again, I mean, Veterans Day is approaching. What is it? I mean, I know you said financially. It's not necessarily a financial thing. The everyday person that's reading this, listening to this right now, where do you want us to step up in our delivery toward these veterans?
I think people have to make themselves aware of all the charities that are available today for veterans. I think you have to become knowledgeable about the charities, study the charities, and see actually what they do. I think the Wounded Warrior Project is a great project, but I don't support the Wounded Warrior Project. And you're going to say, why not? The reason is because the Wounded Warrior Project, as many other organizations, only support post-9/11 troops. In other words, if I'm a quadriplegic from Vietnam and I've been suffering for 45 years and I need help, you will not help me. So what we tried to do is affiliate ourselves with organizations that will help every era veteran get themselves on their feet. You as a citizen, what you could do is make yourself knowledgeable about the charities that are out there. Find the one that you feel that you can help the best and support them. And it's not just the financial support. It's coming out and supporting the events, talking to your friends, shaking a hand of a veteran when you see him on the streets and thanking him. Things of this nature are imperative. The mental health of our veterans is probably a greater problem in our society than we even want to admit today. Again, 22 a day killing themselves, 660 a month. More have killed themselves since the war in Iraq started 12 years ago by suicide. And there were no statistics about Vietnam veterans. They only started keeping them lately. Who knows how many men have taken their lives over the years?
Unbelievable. Hey, I really appreciate your time.
My honor. It's my honor. Thank you.